We'll show you how to concatenate text using repeated strip in Titan Web. Now, in this video, I'm literally going to do from scratch. I haven't done any practice, so bear with me if I screw up one or few things. So, disclaimer out the way, let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply create a contact, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to send my concatenated text. So this one will be first name. This one can be last name. And then for my concatenation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a text area. Actually, we can sort of concatenate and just call it fruits, because that's what I'm going to be inserting into the contact. Okay, first thing first is click submit, and we're going to set up our push. And what a push is going to do is create the contact. Now, before you do this, the one thing you will need on this page is the variable, which is going to take the ID once it's been created, because you will need it. So I would call this P1, which means page 1, CID, page 1 contact ID. That's what it essentially means. Now go to Salesforce, and I'm going to create a new contact. P1 push means page 1 push. User actions, and I should do a push, not a get. Contact P1 push, and then in the mapping I will do last name, first name, and the description is where I'm going to send the concatenated text. Now you may be wondering why I'm setting this up and how I'm going to make it concatenated. The first thing is that we just want to run a normal test, because we need to know what's already inside. So here I'm actually going to end up passing my ID into the P1 CID. Click save, save preview, and let's do a test. We'll call this one fruit test, and I'm just going to do mango concatenated by kiwi. Let's submit. Okay, so now the record's created, so we go into new this week, fruit test, and you can see in the description we got the concatenation of mango and kiwi. That's fine, but this is not exactly what we want. We want to do it by repeated. So what you do, move this button aside here. I'm going to add another button, and this is what's going to call my repeated strip, like this. So what we'll do is we'll call this one add fruits. Now we're going to have to create a new page. You don't have to, but I think actually you will have to, so my bad. First thing first, we'll reduce this, reduce the size of the entire strip, and let me actually get a ruler here so I know what the size is, because I will need to know later. And in fact, you should do it this way, it's easier. So we'll do height being about 500. Actually, maybe 100 is good. Maybe 200. 150. Yeah, let's go with 150. And then the strip itself and the column width is going to be about, let's do 600, why not? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a field. And the purpose of this field is to collect fruits. So we will call this one fruit, and we'll get a button. And let me just copy and paste this. Put this in here and put this one in here. Okay, this one will add more fruit. This one will remove. And this strip here needs to be repeat column. That is a must. If it's not, then it won't work. And then what you do is you click on this, and the function here is very simple. is to increase a new strip. So we'll just go repeat interactivity, and we'll say insert, and then you choose your repeated column. That's the purpose for that. And for this one is to actually remove another strip. So we'll go element interactivity, repeat, and then we will do delete, and then repeat column, and then we'll say current index. So just to show you, save preview, you can see if I do this, there's a repeated strip, and if I say remove, it will remove the repeated strip. Now, in this page, you want to add a variable. Okay, so the page variable on page 2, we want to do a string, and we'll call this one P2 F collection, which is fruit collection. And then what I want you to do is a few things. First of all, we're going to add the fruits, wait 1 second, which is my description, and then followed by comma, space, we want to choose my columns, which is the add fruit. So here, what we want to do is choose this. This is the text field. So the basic gist of it is like this. Let me go ahead and preview. And before that, I want to turn debug mode on. Now, if I go to the home page and I click on this, what I want to do is call the modal. So I want to go popular redirect and do internal. We'll do page 2 and we'll do modal. Now the width was, I believe, 400, and the height can be 400 too. Apply, save, preview. Now let's say I don't put anything in this field, okay, and I do add fruits. In fact, 1 second, let me just turn off responsive AI. It's 450 actually, I need to set the value. So width 450. Okay, so if I click save, click preview, and let's say I don't add anything in here and I do add fruits. Let's say I do kiwi, and then I do add another fruit, and then I do mango. If you look in the debug here, you can see the collection has kiwi and mango. However, if I do orange, then I go in here and then I do kiwi, mango, and look in the debug, you can see it picks up orange, kiwi, and mango. I know it's a bit small, but you get the idea. So we also want to pick up what's already there as well as add new, because in case they add new now, but 20 minutes later they want to add some more and they try to enter it, the data will get overwritten by what's the new value. We don't want to do that. We want to keep adding on top of what they've already added. So that's working. This is good. Now what I want to do is when I create the contact, I want to pass the ID from this page into this modal. So that's the next step. So how do I do that? Well, this here, what you do is once it's passed in here, the P1 ID, when this is clicked, what you want to do is you want to pass it from here to there. But in order to pass it, you need to create a collection. So on this page, you would do configure actions, you would do a static, and you can just call this one P2CID. So page to contact ID. Save. Now, if you go back into home, click on this one, and do set parameters, you can see P2CID field, and then you choose the P1 ID. So basically we're passing from here to here. It's not like this, left to right, it's right to left. That's how it is. So if I click next, save, apply, and I'll show you, if I click preview now, and we will call this one fruit test, submit. If you look at the debug, the ID has been passed to P1CID, but if I now click this, look in the debug here, you can see the P2CID has the ID in there. That's the page 2. Now we're basically going to use that to go ahead and update their description with the concatenated text. So if you go to page 2, and I'm going to add another strip here, and let's say I put another button. Call this one submit. So now we do this. We go Salesforce action, we do a push. In fact, we can clone this one, but this one will run on page 2, but instead of create, it will do an update. And condition is contact ID equals page 2 contact ID. And then in the mapping, you just simply basically keep the mapping, which is contact description. We remove this and you map the variable. And the variable is the P2 collection ID, because that one is collecting all the fruits. So if I look into here and I do kiwi and I do mango and I look into the debug, and you can see P2F collection is collecting all the data. So that's what we want to set up in there. And then once this is done, you just simply assign it over here. Salesforce action, P2 push, like this. And then if you want, after that, you can say close the modal, which means you need to go into layout actions, page actions, and close the modal. Now, when you close the modal, you can also run the get to actually return what's currently in there anyway. So now you can say, in fact, what we'll do is close modal, enable parameters. So P1 CID, and you can just say run. So this will be the value gets passed back in here when this closes, like this. And then now on this page, you can write a condition. You can say if P1CID equals run, then run my get. And what the get's going to do is actually return the get, but actually this is not, I've done it the wrong way, so I'm going to close this so you can ignore this part. So we'll go in here. In fact, in this one, we'll just say close modal, ignore set parent for now. So let's say I click save, and I do publish, launch site, and I will do test fruit 2. I will do mango in here, and then I will do submit. So if I go into Salesforce now, let's do this week, test fruit 2, mango's already there. Now what I do is I add more fruits, and I do kiwi, apple, and I just submit it. Now once it's submitted and I go back in here and I just do a refresh, you can see the mango was already there, but now they've got mango, kiwi, and apple in there, concatenated. So this is pretty much how you do it. Now, what you may want to do when you close the modal is to actually bring the get to return what's already in there. So what you could do is this. When this is clicked, remember we already have the context ID anyway. So what you want to do is go back to page 1 and actually set up a new variable. So you can say P1 refresh, for example. Now on page 2, what you want to do, save and continue. Once this is submitted, you want to close modal, set parent parameters, and then P1 refresh will receive the P2 context ID. Because what happens is on each variable, when you go page to page, the variable disappears, so you have to pass it back and forth. So P2 CID will go here, and then when that is true, if you click save, and then go to here, configure conditions, we can say if P2 refresh, not P1, sorry, P1 refresh is not empty, then run a Salesforce action. And what that Salesforce action is going to do is do a get. and we're going to do contact, and it will be a user action. Condition is going to be contact ID equals P1 refresh ID. And then in the mapping, we'll say in the description, where is the description? It's called fruit. Okay, let me just change this for a second. We want to go all pages. Yeah. So here we can say fruits to be contact description, like that. And then here I can choose it, save it, apply, save, and let's do a publish. And in fact, I'll do a preview so I can show you how everything is working. So in the preview, let's go into my Salesforce. We're going to delete some stuff. Recently viewed, or sorry, newly created this week. Delete, delete, and delete. Okay, so let's run a test. We're going to call this one fruit test. And I'm already going to put kiwi in here now, like this, and I'm just going to do submit. Okay, so now you can see P1 CID has got its ID, but P1 refresh is empty, which is fine, which is exactly what we want. And if we go into Salesforce and do a refresh, you can see that kiwi is actually in the description. Now, if I do add more fruits, let's say I do mango, and then I do apple. What this is going to do, it's going to, when I submit it, it's going to take this contact ID and pass it into the P1 refresh, and then because P1 refresh is not empty, it will run the get. So if I click submit, writes it, and then look at that, it reads it back in here for you, because now the P1 refresh has received its contact ID directly from P2 refresh ID. That's it. That's pretty much all you have to do. You can also subsequently, you don't have to bring it back. What you could also do is this. So if I go back into, and I'm not sure this is going to work, but let's give it a try anyway. Instead of enabling set parameters, I can also say, after this, run a Salesforce action and run that same get, but instead of running it based off the refresh ID, I can say you can run it off the page 1 ID. And if this works, then you can just use it this way and then have to use a variable like I did. Launch, let's say we'll do close this, into this, fruit test 2, kiwi, submit, add fruit, banana, orange, submit, and it didn't work. So don't follow what I just did there in the last minute. Instead, just follow what I did with the parent parameter. And that's pretty much it. This is how you do it.